Did we give her payment here? Yes, he. Okay. It's actually the gentleman in the jeans and the long sleeve shirt.
I didn't know you had a long day out there. Yeah, I mean, they're meeting down fiscal court now. I seen it on the UPL, they had that going on. Yeah, big. Sir Johnson, I mean, Dick Johnson, Brett had something on. I asked Brett. Okay, he had a big deal. It's huge. Well, it is a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal. Set up, ready to go? Yes, sir. I think we're good, brother. Hey, can you turn the air up? It feels a little warm in here.
Yeah, if I'm not cold, it's warm.
Don't you think it's a little warm?
Yeah.
Maybe I thought it was. Yeah.
If I'm
Maybe
warm,
it's
I'm
just
sure
it's just
everybody
me.
else is.
We'll let this right in here. You know Rick Williams, that's our magistrate. I should introduce
I
you.
didn't know until I just saw it on his badge.
Watching your meeting tonight on that fire department thing about the survey about, you know, manning people who teach volunteer fire departments. Just
Oh,
getting,
I didn't know that.
yeah. There's a few chairs sitting up front here. Oh, well, it's all good. There's good neighbors right there. They're good people, you know.
I think Terry's getting down the rest of the chairs.
I think we're just about there. We'll let this one Yeah. We'll go ahead and get started. There's one or two people outside signing up. Give him just a minute and we'll go ahead and get started. Again, I'll kick it off. I want to welcome everyone to coming tonight. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just start. We don't want to make it too late. We want to make sure we get out in a timely fashion. Again, I'll introduce everybody here in just a moment. We have some guests tonight with us. We got Rick Williams here. He's our magistrate for our area. So, Rick, raise your hand out there. I appreciate him. Thank you for that. He come out of an important meeting that the county is looking at tonight with a survey about manning staffing for the fire departments, the volunteer stations all set up, and it's a big deal. Our county's growing at an exponential rate, and we've got to have coverage. And it's hard to do volunteer work for that when everybody's working and doing jobs. So that's something going on. Yes, we run close to that. But anyway, let me read something for you, and then we'll go through the PowerPoint. We'll go through the agenda. We'll introduce everybody and the board members, and kind of go from
Yeah,
there.
there's a few people still coming in.
Yeah, sorry about it. We'll let these folks get in.
Yeah, might be better
There
off.
might be a spot up here in the front if you like. Yeah, back here. That's a little bit better. It does get a little noise in here. But anyway, I just want to read a little statement, but I want to thank you fellow neighbors for coming tonight. I really do. I know many of you may be upset about the increase in the HOA fees from 40 to 100 per year, but I want to address your concerns directly and transparently. First, let me assure that this decision was not made lightly. We're one of the largest communities in Bowling Green, and that growth requires increased responsibilities and demands for them. The reality is that at $40 a rate, sometimes for the first couple of years, we were only getting 20 or 25% monies turned in, which is low. It's really low. And this last go around, when we were able to mail out mailers, we actually got around 52%, which was nice, but we really had to scrounge and try to get that money to mail out the mailers, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But anyway, this has made it incredibly difficult to even manage the most basic community operations, just like lawn mowing, sending bills, maintaining the P.O. box, paying taxes, filings with state, bookkeeping, and maintenance of the common areas. With such a low collection rate, we don't have the funds to send out billing reminders, maintain a website, or handle essential community maintenance. Without these basic functions, our neighborhood suffers. Without these basic functions, the board of us have tried numerous ways to increase participation in payment, but despite our best efforts, the response has been minimal. Furthermore, as much as we want to keep things within our community, we have faced significant challenges, a lack of volunteers. Many of us on the board have been serving for years, about 3 years, matter of fact. We've had a new one that just come on board, thank you for Joe Plunk, and I'll introduce him. But some of the other board members had moved on or something happened and they got a new job and could no longer do the hours that we needed. But anyway, like I said, we've done it. Unfortunately, we are exhausted and running out of ideas to keep things afloat without additional help. Hiring a professional HOA management company was the most viable solution. We didn't see any other way around it. We had to think for the community as a whole, okay? And then to allow the board to continue to maintain our neighborhood to the standards we all expect and deserve. Springfield is a nice subdivision. It really is. However, this professional help comes at a cost, which is why we had to raise the fees. I understand that $100 per year is a significant increase, but this fee ensures that our community is well maintained and we have the necessary resources to help address everything and run it efficiently. In the long run, this investment will help preserve our property values and improve our quality of life. I urge each of you to consider the importance of this change and the benefits it will bring. We're all in this together, and by stepping up, contributing, and supporting this initiative, we can assure our community remains a place we're proud to call home, okay? And thank you for allowing me to share that. I just want to kind of talk about that and kind of get that out in the forefront before we begin the presentation, and we'll go over things. I ask as we go through the presentation, we'll introduce everyone, the officers that we have. We'll go through the agenda, we'll go through the reports financially and otherwise, and the HR lane. And then at the end, if we have not answered any of your questions, we will take questions, because I want you to walk away knowing that you've been heard and that you've understood what we're trying to share with you tonight. We're not trying to silence anybody, I promise you. We're your neighbor. We're trying to do the same things you're trying to do. We just volunteer our time, and just like you brought your time to come out here tonight. And I appreciate that. This is the biggest turnout we've had since the original meeting we probably had. Last year was under 15 people. And the year before that, of course, we had COVID, we had to do it online. That's nobody's fault. We only got like 6 or 7 people on COVID, but that's just the reality of that too. We had to do the best we could. So that being said, I'll go ahead and get started on the presentation slide and go from there. Oh, and Captain Johnson, Brett Hightower couldn't be there tonight. He's in that big initiative to cover things, but Brett Hightower is a champion of our community. He has installed and initiated the Community Neighborhood Watch program. He tries to help us, all the communities, being connected together and do things to help us protect ourselves on that part. So anyway, we'll have the call of order. We'll do the roll call and certification of proxies. We've done that. Then we'll go through the reports of the officers and committee. We'll do the financial update, the operating account balance, the reserve account balance, new business. We'll be talking with Jamie Callahan. He's with the JC Enterprises. He's a new management company we have hired. And then we will talk about some issues there. And then we'll have some open discussion. If we haven't answered anything, we'll open the floor up, okay? I promise you on that. And then we'll adjourn. I know y'all are working people like me. We've got to get up early. I'm just thankful the storms has kind of passed and we went having to deal with that. But anyway, I'm going to turn this over to Julie. And Judy, you can go ahead and you want to introduce the officers. You can do all that if you like.
Hi, everyone. This is President Chip Jenkins, and I am Julie Smith. I'm the secretary. Chastity Phelps, she's our public relations officer. Then we have Justin Plunk. He's our vice president / treasurer. And if any of y'all want to step up and be a board member, we would love to have help. And then I'm going to go through, and this is Jamie Callahan on the other side. If you want to say a word.
Okay. I'm Jamie Callahan, JC Enterprise. I'm the owner, been in business since 1989. We currently manage 27 homeowner associations. We have a couple here in Bowling Green, and we have Nashville, Columbia, Tennessee, Murfreesboro, Mount Juliet. So we're a little spread out. I have one other full-time employee, and I have a part-time employee, and I do pretty much all the inspections and handle as much as I can. But it's been a enjoyment with most HOAs. I did let a few go at the beginning of this year that I thought were being a little tougher to handle. in the Nashville area, but, again, I'm the one to talk to if you have any real questions. Some of you may have already called Valencia at my office. She's there from 8 to 12 every day, answers most of the emails and the phone calls. But yeah, I'm out and about, and not in the office too often, so, if you get a phone call from me, it might be early morning, late afternoon. If you're lucky to catch me at the office, that's a good one, so, thank you.
And I'll elaborate on that. As the board, we went through 4 people, 4 companies. We thought we were dealing with one company, they looked at it and said, you're too large for us to handle. I don't get it, but, you know, when you get to 300 something, 68, whatever 4 we have, that's pretty large. Some of them are 100, 150, they're a lot smaller communities. Ours is pretty large, it really is. And we have, like you said, the 4 acres we have covered. So we went through one company, we sat down and met with them, thought we had something agreed upon, too large, and they wouldn't do it. Went through another company that's out of state, they're a larger company, they're a nice company, pretty high fees, and they didn't have anybody local. And they would have to be coming from like Louisville or even maybe Cincinnati, I think their parent company's up there. We didn't feel comfortable about that. And then there was another company that was kind of new, but he didn't do any more than what we were doing per se as a board. And we have a pretty wonderful board members. They've done all this, created websites, they've done their homework the best we knew how and tried to do what we thought it was best for the community. This gentleman, we didn't think he could provide anything better. And then we talked to Mr. Callahan, and he come and talked with us, plain Jane, and sat down. We liked what we heard. He had a lower price that we can go up and number if we need to get more done by him, and he was able and willing to help us out in any way. And so we liked what we heard on that part, and that's why we committed to going with him on that part. So I just wanted to share that we just didn't pull something quick. It took several months to kind of decide on who we need to go with, so thank you.
And I do want to comment that we are, as Chip said, one of the largest, if not the largest, HOAs in Bowling Green, and we had the lowest fee. So if that kind of tells you something, we were really trying to do our best to spend the money that we did get the way it should have been. Okay, I will go on. In our current balance in our U.S. Bank account right now is $3,104.41. And we've gone back and looked at the payments and the donations we've received, and that total income is $8,130. We do have a little bit extra in our checking account due to when the sign got hit and the insurance payment came through, and it Chip managed to rebuild the wall and get contractors out to rebuild the sign for less than what we got with the check for the insurance payment. So the 23 expenditures were $5803.52. We pay a $20 monthly fee for US Bank on our checking account. We've had expenditures with Gerald Printing, Brax Mowing, which is our landscaping lawn service. We pay the P.O. box, property tax, the HOA insurance. I forgot to mention on here, but the website, we have to pay a maintenance for that, and our tax attorney. So we do have a lot of expenses that money pays for. For 2024 budget, our expenses are going to come in around $16,667. Landscape and lawn is going to be $5,950, and general maintenance and repair will be $13,783. So the reason, as Chip said, we hired an HOA management company is because despite our best efforts, we were not getting, in fact, most years, up until we sent the letter last year, most years was around 20%. I want to say the first year we did it, we tried to do it cheaply as we could to save money for the homeowners associations, and we just mailed out a little postcard, and we still didn't get a large portion of payments coming in. So the next year we sent a letter, and we did get about 52%. But when we're trying to pay all of the expenses that we need to, 52% was not enough, and that was not fair to the 52% that we're paying. It was not fair to those that didn't pay. So that's one of the reasons we had to go with an HOA management company. So we selected Brack Blaze Lawn Management, and I will tell you the basic reason we did that. He has done a great job in our neighborhood with mowing and keeping the circle mowed, if you've noticed. And when we were looking initially, back in 2019, I will tell you, we got quotes in the thousands, upwards 7, 8, 10,000 for the season. And they all wanted us to sign contracts, for the season, and we would have to fork over that money ahead of time.
Say it again.
Sorry, we would have to fork over the money in a contract ahead of time. So we owed the money whether it was a dry season or not. Brack will only charge us if he mows, and he will sometimes skip weeks if we need him to. If it's not rained a lot and it doesn't need to be mowed, he will skip weeks for us. So he doesn't require a contract. So that was one of the
It might help
reasons.
to use the microphone, because it's not
Oh.
coming through at all.
Okay. Can you hear me better?
Matt, turn that on. It's turned on.
It is on.
Is it? No, try it.
Hello?
I'm afraid to mess with it. I might blow y'all out. I don't wanna do that. That would be bad. Oh, no.
No, it's not working.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I know why. Hold on, wait a minute.
I may blow you out of here now.
Testing, be real gentle.
I don't know if we want to take questions, but this gentleman back here.
Can we hold questions to the end? Do you care? I just want to make sure we get through and have time to do it. Is that okay with the board, or do we want to go and take questions?
Yeah, make sure you don't lose that thought when we pitch it.
Yeah. And we paid our property taxes in '23 was $30 on all of our 4 acres that the HOA owns. One of the expenses I forgot to mention was we have to update our annual report filing with the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We purchased insurance for the HOA common areas. So basically what that means, if the sign gets hit again, we have insurance. If the drainage basin in the circle fails, we have insurance. And we also paid our website fee domain. Okay, so everything you see in yellow is part of the HOA common areas. That is what the HOA is responsible for mowing, all 4 acres of it. And I will tell you, if we don't do it, if the HOA does not come together and do it, the county will come in and do it and then charge each homeowner a portion of what it cost. So as a neighborhood, we have to abide by county regulations regarding lawn height, regarding parking on sidewalks and in front of front lawns. And as just a courtesy to our neighbors, we're asking that garbage receptacles be placed beside or behind your home except during pickup service, and that you call your waste provider for large pickups. So for instance, if you have a large couch to get rid of, put it out by the side of the road, but call. Sometimes it can take a couple of weeks for them to come get it, but they will come get it. And then I do want to talk about safe parking on the streets. Just be very attentive when you're parking and when you're driving along the streets, and notice if there are children playing in the area, because sometimes cars parked on the street, a child can run out in front of a moving vehicle and get hit very, very easily. What the HOA would like to do with the community support, this is one of our goals, is we would like to build we have an 2-acre lot where we would like to build a pavilion, get playground equipment, get picnic tables, barbecue area, and it would just be an area for the community to come and congregate together. And we also want to improve the aesthetic of the water retention basin in the circle. It really needs to be drained and fixed properly, and so that's where some of the money we want to spend will go. have been working, actually Chastity, I'm gonna let you talk about the social part of it. if
Oh,
you
that's
want
fine.
to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Again, one of the things, please be mindful of the posted speed limits and stop signs in the neighborhood. Watch very closely for children playing. That is, something that we've addressed and had, comments from people in the neighborhood about children playing either unsupervised or, just playing in the street. And it's a big danger if you've got cars not obeying stop signs and speeding. Please be aware that negative postings on social media do reflect badly on our neighborhood. Do not post other people's addresses, and please try to refrain from posting every little incident as far as EMS or police in the neighborhood, unless you think it would be an imminent danger to the neighborhood. Now, if you see something suspicious, absolutely, but if you see something suspicious, just call the police or 911. And please be courteous and respectful to your neighbors. And for those of you who've paid, we appreciate you. Thank you very much for investing in our neighborhood. You want to go over and tell about what you've been?
Oh, sure. Do you care to make sure this doesn't fall over since my tripod broke?
Sorry about that. All right, just do the right arrow.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the first thing we have here, our next neighborhood yard sale. Can y'all hear me in the back?
Okay, I was going to tell you to talk about Daniel.
Oh, Daniel. Okay, yeah, I didn't write anything down, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
So Daniel Tarnega, I believe is how you say his name. I apologize if I got it wrong. He is the executive director of Refuge BG and someone I have been in contact with about some of the situations in our neighborhood, newly transplanted people. We have a big community from Asiatic regions, mostly Burma, if I'm accurate. There could be more people too, but especially the Karenni and Chin communities as well. Many of them don't speak English, some of them do. But there's been some concerns about, I know there was a police report about children being left attended that were very young. And also there was another report from a neighbor where a member of that community actually came into her garage while her back was turned. That wasn't confirmed that that person was from that family. I just want to make you aware that from our aspect, we have a very structured life. This is my property, don't come on here. But overseas, it's very different over there. The entire village works together to take care of the children, and everyone knows everyone. And so just be mindful that if you have these kind of interactions that they just might not know. And so if you will let me, or I don't know if Jamie wants to be emailed about that, but if you'll email the Springfield email, or you can even private message me. But I've been trying to work with Daniel to get him awareness, because they actually have classes for people and they teach them what they can do and what they cannot do. So the more we connect with the people that don't understand and don't know about these classes, the better. But right now, it's kind of in the very beginning stages. Is there anything else?
So the yard sale coming
Oh, okay, now I'll talk about the yard sale. Okay, so we did have one this year, already this year. We're having another neighborhood yard sale June 1st. And then Parks Burgers is gonna be at the Circle again, to, kind of be there and make it a full day. We'll probably have another one in the fall, based on the interest that we've had in the past. And then, I think that's it.
And I want to commend Chastity for getting a lot of these food trucks to come to our neighborhood. She's worked really hard in inviting some of the trucks. And if y'all have enjoyed those, that's one of the things the board we saw a need and we thought the neighborhood might enjoy it.
Actually, I do want to talk about one more thing to add to what Julie said about posting on the social media. I'm not here to, say what people can or can't say. I very much believe in freedom of speech. But the problem is, for those of you who didn't come to past meetings or weren't in the neighborhood then, we have actually been denied insurance in the past because what people have posted on social media. And that is why I have to basically police it so fiercely, because it has prevented us from getting insurance up till now. And so if we want to continue to be able to fix the sign and, address the stormwater system, we have to have that, especially as the stormwater system is actually our responsibility. The county doesn't have the funds to do that, to my knowledge, as per what I was told by Ben Peterson. And the stormwater system, if it fails, it is our responsibility to get that fixed and maintain it. And so that's why I'm so strict about the social media, because of what's happened in the past. Okay?
That's all I've got.
Anything else on that? Okay. Again, they're just trying to address things that we try to do to get out, and I know we'll discuss it here, but we do have a vision for the subdivision, and that's one day with the 4 acres we have, we talked about it, and we'll discuss it, Jamie. The money's capital investment, we want to put a playground in, we can do that. We can put a park in, a pavilion for everyone to use in the 2 acres that we have in the center, that belongs to us. It's a shame we just keep mowing it, but when we can utilize it for the benefit of everybody. So that's something that we're looking forward to doing. And again, we have to get our commitment levels to where they need to be, where we're getting 100% out of everybody in the community, and then we can take that money and invest it for future growth and expansion on what we're doing. But anyway, I'm gonna turn this over to Jamie next so he can speak and share with everybody.
But as part of that capital improvement and the playground and everything, what I will recommend to the board on that is actually, come up with a plan, so like next year's annual meeting, have something to show everyone, and then you look at cost and, where you're gonna go from there. Right now, under the budget, we have a line item for capital improvement, and that's where we're hoping that money's gonna, build up to be able to do these type of things. A couple communities I've been in, we've done playgrounds. They were in the neighborhood of 40,000. We've done a pavilion, again, in the neighborhood of 40,000. So they're not cheap things to do, and that's a few years ago. Nowadays, with the price of everything, I'm sure it's gonna be a lot more. If there's people in the community that can also help with those type of things, that's great. You save money on labor. But those things will be talked about, I would say, at the next annual meeting or a special meeting, if that's ever called, to look at capital improvements of that nature. I would like to say right now, as far as this meeting here, we have 50 homeowners present, and we have 1 by proxy. Still a very small number compared to the overall. As far as the financial stuff, right now, with what they've shown on the budget, we have $2,200 that we've collected so far, so we're right around $5,304.41 in the account between the 2 of them. We will set up a reserve account at the end of the year, depending on how the funds are coming in, but that reserve account will collect interest and move forward on that as well. We currently have, which I don't think was shown on here, but $2,014 in accounts payable. The big bulk of that is for the insurance. So I think it's $1,800 for insurance. So, I just like to explain the collection process. I think pretty much everybody here is almost paid. We got a bunch of checks in tonight, but usually within 14 days to 30 days after the due date, we'll send out a friendly reminder notice. It'll have your late fee on there, and it'll give you another 14 days or so to respond, send in your money. If we don't get a response to that, then we're going to send out a demand notice. That's certified mail, and we charge a collection fee because that's another thing that we have to go through. We do not, the HOA does not pay the collection fee to us until we collect it from the homeowner. It will be charged to the homeowner's account as well as the cost of the certified mail. We don't get a response to that, then we assume somebody just doesn't care. It'll be turned over to the attorney, a lien put on the property, and you'll hear from the attorney after that. So we hope to really get people going after that friendly reminder notice goes out. Usually the demand notice will get 90% of people in. And then there's always a few at the end that end up with the attorney. Right now, I use James Larimore locally here, so he's the one I'm using right now. The annual budget, I know we didn't have enough copies for everybody because I only had 9 RSVPs and we have 50 people. So if you didn't get a copy, I'd like to go over the budget real quick. On the back of that If you have the letter that was sent, you should have a budget on the back of that as well. Supplies, you know, I do all the envelopes and the paper and all that kind of stuff, so, you don't get charged for that. I do charge for the copies, not copies for me, but when I have to take it to FedEx to make copies, it's just a reimbursement to myself. So it's, you know, that's the only cost to the HOA. My time to go to FedEx and get copies and all that kind of stuff is just part of my fee. But the copies themselves, which is the printing and reproduction, that is for all the notices that go out and any future notices following up. Usually I figure 2 big mailings a year, one for the annual meeting, one for the invoices. If we can keep them together like we did on this one here, we save money on postage. And postage keeps going up. Insurance, $1,800, they just pay that or paying that. Professional fees, that's for the preparation of the tax return. I believe the board was looking at putting an attorney on a retainer. So that's part of that fee as far as collection fees on Mr. Larimore if he has to collect. But any fees from the attorney having to collect money also goes on that homeowner's account, and they'll have to pay for that attorney cost as well. Miscellaneous and social, that's for anything that the board comes up with. I don't know if you put any ads in the newspaper for the yard
haven't
sales,
yet.
but they can cost money as well, so that's what that's for. The tax estimate is $30 right now. Lawn care service, just estimating how many mows a year. If it's a normal year, most lawn care services mow between 32 and 36 times. If it's being done every week, shorter if it's less than that. Like they were saying, it's on a per cut basis, which is good. If the guy cutting the yard feels it's too dry, didn't get enough rain, then you just get to skip a week and save some money. So hopefully you'll have some extra there at the end of the year. Miscellaneous maintenance, again, that usually has to do with the, if there's something on the common area, a tree falls down, gotta clean that up, things of that nature. As well as landscape replacement, which is normally at the entrance if you have stuff die up there. I don't believe we have irrigation, so that could be an issue every year possibly. The capital improvement we discussed, that's going hopefully in the reserve at the end of the year. However, if we do have to clean out the retaining drainage easement or drainage retention pond, that will be an expense that will come out of that capital improvement as well. And then at the end of the year, we hope to put $3,600 in the reserve. Any questions on that? I break it down annually and monthly just so people get a good idea what they're paying on a line item here. So that's I just try to make it simple, but it is an annual fee. So, can I go ahead and take?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes.
Go ahead, yes, I'm sorry.
So I'm new here, so this has been an awesome experience and everything. I was just instructed that it's not negotiable, you gotta pay the HOA. I was just surprised, like, only, what'd you say, 50% paid? So I mean, will this work where you're gonna penalize them, people or not?
Yeah, we're gonna hit it quick, so, we're gonna go after them, right off the bat, so it's, yes, ma'am.
Did you have any problems, I know there are a lot of rentals in our neighborhood, did you have any problems getting them to pay?
They can answer this better than
Some, apparently some do. I know some like, oh my gosh, Steve Cherry, he has some rental property. He'd come to the last one to talk about, he wants an HOA. It helps his property. He is paid. There are some that we found out in the process that weren't. And so that's the way we can go after them. They should be. They know they're real estate people, but they're playing a game. And I don't like that game because it affects us. Why would you do that to us? And you know that there's things that you need to be paying. So yes, but there are some that have and some haven't. But like we said, and I'm sorry, we're your neighbors. I'm not the hammer man that does the turn like, I'm the hammer. I don't wanna be that. We do have to keep order and things looking good for everybody in the neighborhood. And we're not gonna go back. We talked about, I know with some questions asked about going back. No, when we first finally got the board running well, because when this subdivision was developed, it was two people, the developer and his wife. That's fine. Most developers do that when they build a subdivision. They never elected a board, never did anything because it went stagnant. And I don't want to go through this again. I'm kind of like beating a horse to death. We talked about this 3 years ago, but 2008 we went through an inflationary recession. And then when it got better, he sold off the rest, and then he turned it over to
to some things that just didn't happen. We didn't have a board or anything. So that's why we stepped in to help our neighborhood out, and that's kind of how it's evolved. But go ahead, I won't talk to you, I'm sorry.
I'm not opposed to the $100. My thing is, and I asked Chassie about this, and she said we can talk about it tonight, is in those original covenants, it says things like you can only have a wood fence. Most of us have chain link. It says things like your outbuilding has to match your house, most people's don't. And my concern is, are we now gonna go back and say, oh, I'm sorry, you gotta remove that fence, and I'm sorry, and I've asked for those grandfathering in to be written before I pay.
Yeah, well, we could go back and change, but it takes a lot to do it. We're not here to go back and change that. I can't change what happened. All I can do is move forward, that we're gonna start monitoring and watching, so
Well,
somebody.
I guess my question
Yeah.
is, can we get something in writing that says that? Like, you're grandfathered in.
We could talk to his board and get something worked out. I mean, we're not, like I said, we're not here, I'm your neighbor, I'm not here to penalize you.
I know,
I know.
if you get run over by a train tomorrow, I have no proof that you said that.
Well,
I need a
that's
grandfather
true, but we got a management company that does, it's in perpetuity. You're right, I could die tomorrow, you ain't got
Well,
a
I'm
president. and
recording
anybody,
as
you know,
well.
so.
I'm recording.
Yeah, so, and it's recorded too, so we do a live recording. This
Because
is-
I just don't want people to, now there's probably 50% of us that would have to remove our fences. It says wood only, no vinyl, no
Yeah,
chain.
but back when that's done in 2000, vinyl fencing or vinyl products wasn't a big deal. I mean, it wasn't out. So the times have changed, and so we'll have to change with those times. But we still want it to look nice. We have to have some uniform. We'd like to see some vinyl. Some people put some metal link in, so we're trying to keep that. But we can put something in there where it's online and written, hey, we're not
Whatever's
hearing
there,
anything.
because I moved in 2006, and as you know, it
Yeah.
was defunct in 2009. I don't have a problem paying to keep the neighborhood up. What I do have a problem is, a lot of us made decisions
Sure.
that are now against what that says.
But again, you were doing what you thought was right, because we didn't have an HOA to say, hey, we'll help you out, but that wasn't there. I mean, not really. Anyway, go
To
ahead.
tag team off of that, Jamie, I asked you specifically if there was a list of
Rules and
rules,
regulations.
and you said there was not.
Other than the
ever
governance
established.
restrictions. That's-
So,
that's-
because I
There
asked
is
for
a
a
list in
copy.
the original covenant.
Yes.
Okay, when he sent me the original covenant, according to him,
Yeah.
and it's not in there.
From
The one I
1999.
saw did have it.
Yeah, there's
So
something
if we
about a
can get-
fence or
if we
like,
can-
yeah.
You can't have blacktop driveway, a fence, or a building that doesn't match your house.
Okay, I was just asking for a copy of that.
We can. And
I
it's
gave you what I
online.
had when I was provided, but yeah.
And I think Chassie, yeah, go ahead.
Some of that is also on your plat restrictions, so you may have to go look up your specific property as well. But if you go onto our website, I have a link to our Google Drive. At one point, the Warren County Planning and Zoning sent me everything they had for our neighborhood. And so you can look through those and hopefully you'll find your property and those specific things. But also there's the covenants on there, the bylaws are on there. And honestly, there's a lot on there. So if you can't find something, let me know and I'll try and help you find it, or I'll try and get it if we don't have it.
And she will. I mean, it's on there.
And that is another thing, we try to be very transparent. We put everything on our website and on the Google Drive for people to see.
Yes. Go ahead.
I understand that you guys have been doing this, I was here, like, I remember how we all started with this HOA and all it went through, but my problem is, like, when we moved in, and it's a question I want to address to you, our realtor never, we asked if we were an HOA, and we were told no. So
That actually
that is-
happened to me as
Yeah,
well.
and so that's, my question is that, are you getting any better response, or is there any way, people to know that we are an HOA? Because I don't know, our realtor, nobody said anything to me, if it hadn't been for my neighbor.
I'll tell you what I've
My neighbor said
done.
we weren't.
I'll tell you what I've done. Okay, so of course, when we reformed, we did so at the behest of the Warren County Planning and Zoning. Ben Peterson was at that meeting. He mandated that we exist. And then from there, I contacted the Southern Kentucky Realtor Association twice by letter. They never responded. I told them that we were a HOA. I also had a cousin at the time who was working for Foreman Watson Title. They know that we're an HOA, so they do contact us. But we have struggled in getting the response. But there have been efforts made. I actually also reached out to both the city of Bowling Green. They have a neighborhood list. They would not put us on the list because we're not within the city limits. I asked for the county to put us on a similar list and do something of that nature like the city has. They said they did not have the budget to do that. So.
Did we do something simple that just put, we are an HOA at our, like Springfield at the entrance, we are an HOA?
Well, I got it in the rear. There is in the back.
There is.
Cause I made that, yeah, it's on that pole.
Yeah, I saw that, maybe get
But
one in the front too.
Well, I will, and
I
I
know,
promise,
that's
if
fine.
we get money, I'll do it. But
Yeah.
something that I take out of my pocket, get creative, and I thought, oh, I should have put HOA community in the bottom. I didn't do that, because I was trying to watch the money.
Magistrate, maybe he can help and get some leverage and get some traction, what you
Well, he's listening, so you can ask him questions, yeah. I'm sorry, let me get you with.
Okay, I just got one question, because that dude over there, he's the main man over there.
Mhm.
So, since you guys increasing that $100, say it used to be 40, and by the time you increase that, you increase it by $21,000. By the budget, when you're looking at, it's $21,000. But that $21,000 that you're gonna increase is gonna be $13,000 going to the company right there that's managing that.
Yes, sir.
So, you're increasing by not 100%, you're increasing by 150%. See what I mean?
Yes.
So basically, lots of people who's not discussing, I'm not gonna say it's fair or not fair, because somebody's gonna pay for that. But what is fair, if you're increasing something, and you're gonna tell the person, hey, I'm gonna increase $20, okay, lots of people, they're gonna look at different. But when you come to the person and tell him that you're increasing by 150% something, what do you think, how's that person gonna feel?
Well, yeah, I get you. Frustrated. I'm one of you.
Yeah.
I love to pay 40 all day long. If everybody would have paid, we wouldn't have this discussion. I agree with you. Go ahead, he's still talking, I'm sorry.
So main thing with that stuff, if you come to the people, like you come in front of the community, and talking like that, increasing 150% or something. So it's a huge, when you're looking at something by percent, a lot of people, they don't look by percentage. That 40%, I mean $40, it's not that bad. But if you are taking that 21,000 that you are increasing by, and taking that almost 14,000 from that, so basically, what are you gonna get? You're gonna spend $14,000 towards the company who's gonna manage that. So basically, even, you're not including not loan, they're gonna manage and all that stuff. So basically, what they're gonna lose, you're spending $14,000 towards what? To the company who's gonna manage this, and you're gonna come in front of the people and say, we increasing by 150% because of that percentage, it's almost 40% is gonna go towards the company who's gonna just manage.
Can I try? So, that is a great question. I wanna, cause I know that's what people were wondering. Why did we go from 100 or 40 to 100, and then most of that is gonna go to a management company? The reason is because we don't have a way to make people pay. I mean, so when we only have $3,000 in the bank, but to file a lien costs $500, and if you have 150 homes that haven't, we don't have the resources to make people pay. Plus, when some of you call and say, hey, there's a basketball goal on the sidewalk, or there's a bunch of vans parked on the street, or all these things that people get really agitated about, we don't have a way to do this because we're all volunteering. I can't go out there. All I can do is say, please don't do this. But having the resources to have a management company can then help sort of police those things. And if people aren't paying and contributing, then he can file liens with these resources. That's really the only way we can really make people contribute to this. So that's why, and it's a great question what you're asking.
My biggest question to you and to all whoever managing that is not because of that, who is getting that money? We are spending our money to our neighborhood, and it should be spent, I'm not saying it should not. But what I'm saying, if you are taking 40% and paying somebody else for something, I mean, it should be the reason for it.
I will tell
Yeah.
you, real quick, I will tell you, if everyone in the neighborhood had paid, we wouldn't need him.
But we wouldn't pay.
But I mean, it's the truth, and we said in our meeting last year, we actually, and it's actually in my presentation, that if we didn't get, we were gonna try it one more year, and if we did not get everyone in the neighborhood to pay, we were gonna have to increase it to 100, because we were gonna have to get a management company. And that's just the bottom line. I understand, I'm paying the same $100 you are.
No.
I mean, I get it that you're paying 150% more, so am I, but that was the only choice we had to get everyone in this neighborhood to pay.
But that doesn't, not gonna increase, still people who's not gonna pay, they're not gonna pay. The main thing.
Yes, they will, eventually.
They're gonna
When they sell their house, they want collecting off the lien.
Let me just finish.
I have been letting you talk a little bit, we have some other people, but I'll come back to you, I promise. Go ahead.
Well, and I wanna kind of piggyback off of him because I think there's some misunderstanding in what he's trying, and I wanna clarify. Because, okay, so you decided that you need this management company. What I wanna know is, why didn't you just ask the neighborhood? Like, how come you only have one meeting a year? How come there's not meetings that the rest of the community can come to?
Man, we do it every year, and we're just like you, we're working
But
people.
no, I'm talking about
Yeah.
one time a year. The community's not gonna come together with one meeting a year.
We could do block parties, but that's beside the point, this is the annual business meeting that we do once a
So,
year.
well, okay, but like, I think the issue is, no one felt like they were asked, they felt like you were taking money that wasn't yours and spending it on this management company.
But man, we won't get any money to run the regular operations. I mowed the front several years.
So did I.
Yes, but I can't do it in perpetuity. You might die and I might die, I might move. Who's gonna do it then?
So I know,
Somebody
but
else?
I'm just
That-
saying,
I'm just
I
saying,
did,
yeah.
I did
I know,
that too.
and I thank you for that, I do.
So, you know.
But we have to.
Well, let
we
me,
have to run it.
if you don't mind, let me address
Yeah.
the meeting stuff, because I've been doing this for so long. You guys had a substantial increase, and we only have 50 people show up because of that. That's the type of things you would think, you would get a lot more people here for that, but you don't, because those people don't care. And that's what it comes down to. I've done this so many, we have HOAs where we gave away a year's worth of dues, and I'm talking $900 dues, and we still can't get enough people there for a quorum.
Exactly.
We did drawings for people a whole year, half a year, and we still can't get people to show up. We've had them on Saturdays, which I don't do anymore. You still don't get the people show up. So, right here, you have a great turnout for what has happened in the past.
Yes, I'm thankful.
And even though you have 50 people here, you still don't have a quorum to make any real decisions from that standpoint. The board had to make a strong decision, and they did it based on an attorney, they talked to an attorney and everything on this. So it was a hard decision for them, but I can tell you right now, from a secretarial standpoint and a treasurer standpoint, 364 people, they don't want to come home and say, okay, well, let me get to this here, if 5 people paid today and go through that whole process. They work all day, and they come home and have to answer emails and phone calls and look after lawn care. That's a hard thing for a volunteer to do, and believe me, when you're a treasurer or a board even, people who don't pay, they could be your neighbor, and you don't want to have to give your neighbor or put a lien on your neighbor's house. You don't want to have to hound your neighbor for the money. So, that's my job now.
Well, they don't think that they're actually gonna get a lien put on their.
Well, they will,
But they
yeah,
will.
yeah, so they're gonna get a few letters before it happens. That's when, I try to give them as much, technically, the board can just turn them right over to the attorney and go for a lien, but I always try to go through a process to give them a little more time to try to pay, because the attorney is $150 minimum.
Yeah.
And I think in your covenants restrictions, it's like a $250 collection or something fee on that, but, so we try to give them opportunities to pay when they can, but I can tell you from an attendance standpoint, you have a good turnout, compared to years in the past, but for the amount this dues is going up, I'm surprised you didn't have more.
Considering what Chip has been going through when he
Well,
first started this,
But it's everybody, there's a lot of good people in this room. Well, it's because I love our neighbors, I love you guys, believe it or not, and I'm not trying to beat anybody up, I'm just trying to be a realistic. I know,
And it's not anything personal.
I know, and I'm not taking it personal, I promise you, but.
It's the issue of, I think, the 150% increase, like.
But you look at the neighborhoods,
I would
yeah.
expect an increase, because things are
But
expensive.
all the HOAs around us are 150 or more. Every one that's come in, they're locked. So I don't fuss at 100 when the next door is 150, 150, and some of them, not next to us, but they're several hundreds of dollars.
Can we at least agree to get the grandfathering statement in?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So my point is I know we have a problem, it shouldn't be this hard because ability to reach out electronically. We're relying on meetings too much because it doesn't fit in the lifestyle of people. People have to work different shifts, all sorts of different reasons why they can't come. My problem was, there should have been a mail or something set out that said, this is what we're gonna do before it's done. So my question is, in next year, am I gonna get another raise for something I didn't get to vote on, or I didn't have any say in? Is that how this is gonna go?
No, sir, that's not our plan. And like you said, we're nonprofit. We're, like the monies we're saving is for the other project. We had to do that to try to get the money to get things going. We couldn't even afford insurance.
No, I get that.
And
I will tell you,
yeah.
real quick, Chip, I don't
Yeah.
mean to interrupt, but the attorney that we spoke with actually suggested we raise it higher. The attorney,
To match the other neighborhoods, but I said, well, we're not. We're large now. We're larger than most. We're larger than McCoy and the rest of them. But I said, the 100 will be sufficient to what we need way on down the road when me and your debt are gone and moved. And that's what I want to
It's
look at.
not the amount of money I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's irrelevant. What I'm saying is, you know,
It's the fact that nobody was
and nobody, when I saw this coming, I had, like, where were we notified of this? Is gonna
Last
happen?
year,
at the last meeting,
but I'm telling you, that's the deal. That's every year. That's why we struggle. Every year, we struggle with the same issue.
Right,
And
you
we
said
try to.
minutes out from last year?
we had about 15 people
Yes,
show
sir.
up
And we
last
talked
year.
about it. People said, please wait and do one more year at
Yes.
40.
You just sent them out.
I didn't get them.
No, we recorded and put it online. Because, but here's the thing, you'd act like we can mail stuff out when we don't have money to mail out.
That's not, but if you need money to be able to do that, that's what we're talking about.
Okay, at this point, this is all moot.
Yeah,
Like,
it
there's
is. I don't
there's
wanna get
no
off on
point
that
in
in the
rehashing all
weeds,
this.
but Somebody else had a
I
question.
think the problem here is, I see it twofold.
Yeah.
One, this gentleman's company was just fired from McCoy Place.
Yeah.
They decided not to re-up his contract, and they don't want to deal with him because they didn't get a response over the needs they had.
Yeah.
I understand, and I've talked to board members over there. The other, so I would warn against going with this gentleman, because I think you're gonna have problems down the road. The other thing is, in this neighborhood, we were never told when we bought in that there was an HOA. I asked about it when I moved here 4 years ago. There was no HOA. From my realtor, you need to get that out. And then the problem is, about half of this room never even got the letter. They don't even know there's an HOA. So you really gotta do a much better job of canvassing your neighborhood and knowing who you're supposed to correct.
But again, and I appreciate that, I hear you. Let me get, you got another?
I was just gonna say, I appreciate all of you guys on the board for doing what you do and volunteering your time. I know this is probably a hard meeting to be attending, but, I think the biggest problem was the fact that everything that the lady spoke with the long hair, if that was just in this letter where it said, you know, at our last meeting, 15 people attended, this was talked about last year, we agreed to go another year, and this, so 22, all the stuff you've told us in this meeting, if that was in the letter, I think it may have been accepted easier, because with only 15 people out of 364 attending, only 15 people heard you last year, which we're gonna pay the money regardless, and I just wanna say I appreciate you guys for volunteering your time, because you're doing something I don't wanna do.
Well, anybody else want to?
This lady over here too has been waiting a long time to ask a question.
I have a couple things. I was one of the 15 that attended last year. Everybody has the same opportunity to come or to send,
That's not true.
send someone that can stand in for you. Someone can stand in for you, or I believe you posted something about.
We actually even posted the audio recording of it. So everybody, if you didn't get to go, you could at least go in and listen to it.
But, what is your name? I'm sorry, sir.
Jamie.
Okay, how much of a percentage are you up to collecting of, let's say, the 360% houses? And wherever else you're collecting from, what kind of percentage rates are you collecting? Like 80% of those homes, or?
You talking about like another subdivision he's doing?
Yeah, most other HOAs, I mean, we try to keep it under 10% as far as people that are ongoing and have to turn over to the attorney.
Okay.
And that's what we usually shoot for.
Okay. last year also, we discussed, if you remember correctly, checking out to see about our roads being repaid. Where's he at?
Magistrate.
And he'll explain that. We can ask him afterwards. He has an explanation for that I didn't know, so that's good. Yep.
There's one thing that I just wanna add it up. Like lots of people, when they buy a house, lots of their agent, they don't explain to them about HOA. Like the HOA.
I agree.
And the HOA, lots of people, they think that HOA, it's included in their mortgage, and that's the biggest thing, yeah. That is the biggest thing that lots of people don't understand, because they explain to them, they say it's $40. And lots of people, they sign that line. Not knowingly, they have to pay every year from their own pocket, not included in that mortgages. And I was got few people, they come to me and they say, no, it's coming from my
That's the
mortgage.
title
And I try to
company,
tell them, I
actually.
was like, no, it's not.
The title
But they're like,
company
that's how
is
it
supposed
goes
to
with these
research
times.
that,
A lot of
actually.
people don't understand that.
They need to check with their mortgage company. I'm serious about that. I would.
Yeah, we've had a few who said the same, they thought the same thing before, you know, that there was an escrow just like for tax.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
I'm sorry, now get you. Go ahead.
So question, so the HOA, just remember in like 2009 roughly, it reassembled like.
No, it started 2000.
Okay.
When the developer, that's when Springfield started, from ground zero, 2000.
So it's always been?
Yes.
There's never been a year?
You cannot build a neighborhood, and I don't wanna we don't wanna go back, because plans on, we brought them out here. You have to have an HOA before you can do a development.
Is it-
McCoy and the rest of them beside us, HOA. Because the county is not going to mow your grass right of ways, and they're not gonna maintain your sign. They're not. That's why they want the developer to buy into an HOA to take care of the mowing and the signage. And then the lighting, once we turn the subdivision over, like the lighting, that's when we're electric. So the other day, we had storm blowing over, and I said, oh God, we gotta replace that pole we ain't got no money for. But they put it up because it's their baby, it's the fiberglass, they put it up within a day. But I called them on, we call them, and if there's a light out, we just say, hey, such and such pole number 6 is out, they'll go fix it. But that's on them, but we try to keep our eyes open and help the community because we knew about that. But again, we have to have an HOA from the day one. And if the realtor didn't pick it up, that's their fault. But it was in the covenants, mine called it, I paid, I knew. But again, they might not have picked it up.
So who's our lawyer? So we have a lawyer now, correct, for the HOA?
Just as file a lien if we need to do it. We don't want to file a lien if we don't have
Because on my
to.
deed, there's not an HOA on there, to everybody's point. So, like,
But it-
like, I'm gonna put a lien on it, and I had signed for an HOA,
But
I wouldn't have bought into an HOA if I knew there was gonna, like,
I get it.
because I've been there before, and it's pointless.
Well, normally it's the title company that, you know, during a title search of a, you know, transfer of property, that's who usually finds out. I mean, there's an HOA, because there's covenants restrictions that are recorded.
So you're telling me like all these banks that are just making mistakes, wasn't right, or doing, I don't think there was an HOA, I think that initially, from what I heard, it was voluntary if you want to pay to it.
No.
And then in 2020 is when it.
Yeah. I have some communities like that, Hidden River down here. Part of it is mandatory, the other part is volunteer, because the other part is so old. The common areas that, you know, that were in there have to be maintained by those particular lot owners that own them. And then what happened in years past is those lot owners would not maintain those detention ponds and things like that. So that's when the municipality started saying, well, no, we're gonna make a separate lot, and the HOA is gonna own it, and the HOA is gonna maintain it. So that's where, you know, you have so many of these detention areas and stuff like that being on the HOA, because they used to be on like the first lot owner, or whoever owned right next to it. That was part of their original lot, but they wouldn't maintain it.
Could I add just a little bit? So, I mean, you're asking a really interesting question, because my understanding is there's a little more to the history than that. We don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but whenever there's a new development, let's say you go out Alvaton, you see all those new developments, right? There's one house there. Somebody buys that one house. There's not an HOA on day one. The developer, once the subdivision builds to a certain percentage build out, then the developer, in this case Mr. Loge, should have initiated the HOA, you know, create a board and all that. And so there was some dropping the ball essentially about a decade ago. But in 2000, you know, when the first house was built out there, no, it was in the covenants, but there wasn't a board, there wasn't an HOA. But there should have been a point where it became official and we had a board and we lagged behind.
I think that kind of happened actually in 2016 roughly. So from what I understand, the developer owned the HOA up until the point, like the responsibility of 75% of the lots built. So because of the recession, that apparently took about 20 years to hit. And that's about the point when I bought my house in the neighborhood. I did not know there was an HOA either. And so that is when that initiated, and then we found out all this stuff, which it is in the Google Drives if you want to go and look at it, as well as the letter from the Director of Warren County Planning and Zoning stating that we have to exist. That's all in there. And so that's why this is where it's at, and why people don't think we exist is because of the past turmoil, but we do exist. Yes,
But
ma'am.
Until that point, the developer was paying to mow and all that stuff, so. But there was a point when he walks away and then it's ours.
He built his subdivision out there, we're in, he's my nephew.
Yeah.
He built it and he got out of it because of expense.
Uh-huh.
And that's totally what it was. Expense, he said, I paid for all the gas, I had to build, he built that place 2 or 3
Well,
times.
he replaced the front entrance sign 3 times, because it got run over 3 times. It was his insurance that paid for it. But when it got hit the last time, folks, we didn't have insurance. I thought, oh Lord, how are we gonna fix this? It laid there for a year. Finally, somebody showed up and said, we run over it. Praise the Lord, because then the insurance said, we're gonna pay out. Well, they wanted to pay down here, and I said, no. You gonna pay out when we can't only get a contractor to put it back, you're gonna pay up here. And I finally got a contractor to do work because of COVID. It was kind of weird times, but he fixed it and we had a surplus. But that was just a miracle that happened.
Yeah, see, Lanny used to live up there.
Oh, I know he did. But when the Jago Home bought it out the backside, he put it over that percentage bar, then he could say, hey, I no longer have to be obligated to keep this mowing, I'm gonna turn it over to HOA. And I promise you, he was on the, I've seen the documents. He was the president, his wife was the vice president. There were officers, but no board. But he didn't care, he was mowing, but all developments, I'm just not blaming Lanny, all developments just about go that path, because they wanna build their subdivision, they wanna get their homes sold. They don't care about an HOA until much later. Well, if we hadn't had the recession, we might have had an ongoing good HOA, not some person like me, to help be a president a long time ago, but it didn't. It lagged, it got stagnated, and then it flipped over when Jago bought that back half. And you know, they did, they were big out, they bought 50 lots. Boom, it was done, and then it got turned over.
He's asking, he's been.
Oh, yes, sir. No, we're looking, keep looking on.
Yeah, that's a quick question. I'm not concerned with money, that's fine, and just say, James, what do you have the plan to manage this community? Because what I'm not concerned that a lot of people looks like the mold, I'm not sure, you said, you talking that's the mold, how high is it, you need to cut. Lots of this, house you see, it's too high, not a cut, for especially rental house, and, that's it's kind of weird. So, is there some way so you can force them to cut, or maybe, make that?
Well, if they don't cut, obviously the board will get rid of them. If that's what you're asking.
Oh, they're too high.
The grass.
Yeah, another the mold and grass.
Oh, homeowners, individual homeowners? Yeah, so that'd be something the board would be looking at as well.
I was the Michigan 10 years ago, and then the home HOA, and they say, if you don't cut it, we can help you cut, but we need to collect $200. If that's then still not cut, that's the city, they say, okay, we need a fine. So that's I'm saying concern is, especially sometimes you see a lot of.
We have a code enforcement in the county.
But I didn't see that, so that's the last of the 50, no.
But the code
years never
enforcement.
see some special rental house, that's a lot, property.
Yeah, we don't know all the rentals, but yeah, definitely, I mean, I'll be working with the board on enforcement.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, you can find some ways.
But I know the finances is the first thing they want to get in order, that's the big thing, but like the one lady, I think she left, about grandfathering in. I mean, that was something too, that the board, they're gonna look at the coverage restrictions, they are, old. So looking at going through that, again, that's something at the next annual meeting to present, okay, these are the changes we want to make, and, we ask for a vote then, but again, we take a vote on 50 people, that's not a quorum, but still.
That I'm saying, so your company as a new managing company, so do you have the plan to fix these issues there, or?
Yeah, as we see it, we'll talk to him, he'll send a letter out. Because I don't have time,
we're just volunteers, we just work like,
Yeah,
we don't have
that's
time,
not
but
the-
we got somebody that can say, hey,
He's just finding out if he's
No,
gonna.
not a concern,
Yeah.
you guys, volunteer
We
guys,
are-
so that's good.
Yes.
So for now, you have the management, so I talked to
That's
him,
why we need-
so we can
yes.
try to find a way.
We needed
so,
help, yeah.
That's right.
Yes,
That's why I
yes,
had
yes.
$100 less funds. So,
when they replace me, I'm just like you guys.
Well, help out.
We-
First of all, I appreciate you guys volunteering. I mean, thank you. It takes a lot of time on me personally. I was just flat lied to about the HOA, and I think a few people were too, so it felt like it's past that, swallow it, let's move on. Now with the increase, if there becomes a surplus of money, is there gonna be a decrease?
That's what I was about to ask.
Well,
Because you're gonna get more people paying now.
yeah, and that, he can address that, or you want to?
And then I have one more question after you do that.
Well, the big issue
That
on
answers yours?
the big issue on any decrease will be the capital improvement. So if they're looking forward to trying to do a playground or a pavilion, you won't see a decrease. But there again, that's something that, you know, they come up with a plan, cost, and then they present it to the community as, and this is how much this is gonna cost, this is where we're going. If we need to raise the dues to do that, or can we do it over a period of time? If we're putting $9,000 into capital improvements every year, reserves in some respect, then that, you know, over 4 years or whatever, then we can do this. I mean, I know when we did the playground and we did a pavilion at one of my other HOAs, you know, we did the first part of the playground, and then we added to it after a few years and saved up a little bit more money. The pavilion, we did the slab the first year, and 3 years later, we built the pavilion. In the meantime, we were renting tents if they ever have big social events.
I think a lot of this is like a steak dinner, but it got served up on a garbage can. Once the meat of it, just some real bad delivery. And the thing I'm looking at here, this letter says, please note that any changes or alterations to the bond will require approval from the board. That's a little hard to swallow, so if you don't care, I'd like to just give you some time to address that. And then, I'd really be interested if you want to, it's your choice in hearing what this gentleman said here about the reason why you had to leave another HOA.
I mean, HOAs, they come and go. You think about it, I got 5 people that I gotta satisfy. If 3 of them don't like me, I'm done. So in communities where there's 3 board members, 2 of them don't like me, I'm done. They don't ask the community, you know, what you wanna do with the management company. I get a lot of people that don't like me because I'm the one sending the notices of violation. I'm the one going after the collections. So they're the ones who, you know, will badmouth me and everything else. But, I mean, we've had some pretty good voice messages because of the notice that we sent out, some pretty vulgar. But, you know, we deal with those and my grateful.
But I want to say that it is none of our intent, and the lady that left, I agree with her. We need to put something in writing.
Exactly.
And anything that's there, that's been there for all this time, yes, we should grandfather that in. And his contract is a contract. When it expires in 2 years, I think it is, then hey, we could look for somebody else. I mean, it's just like any contract. It's not forever, for sure. So we may be dealing with someone else at this point. But we're just getting to know each other. We have high hopes, yeah. So it's a contract. It's not there forever.
What about that permission thing though? I didn't hear that addressed, that, you know, I gotta get permission.
Yeah, so that's like, you know, what the lady was saying about certain fences and stuff like that. You know, our recommendation is to, you know, have an application submitted if you're gonna install a fence. Because there's certain conditions that need to be followed. If we just leave it up to everybody to decipher the covenants restrictions as they please, you're gonna end up with what you ended up with. Chain link fences that aren't allowed, things like that. So, I mean, that's why, you know, you should get approval. Obviously, the developer didn't enforce any of that stuff.
Actually, the county requires a permit to build a fence, if you didn't know that.
But I don't think the county looks at our covenants restrictions to say whether it's
I don't know if they do or not, but
Not normally, but yeah.
usually,
Like, and they didn't say that.
Yeah, but usually one of the conditions of approval is to get a permit from the county or city, wherever you might live on that. But, yeah, so those are the type things, I mean, if you're gonna do an addition to your house, you know, we wanna make, I mean, I got pictures that, you know, people do stuff that, I mean, I'm sure some of you seen them before. You wouldn't believe what some people will do and think is nice. So you do an addition to your house, shouldn't it match the existing house, or should it just be something completely, do you want somebody to paint their house pink? You know, I mean, those type of things should go through the board for approval because they're the aesthetics of our community. And you want to keep that all in place and not have somebody just stand out with something
So what you're
completely out of
saying,
line.
because if I wanna paint the brick on my house, and I don't like the color of my red brick, and I wanna paint the brick on my house, I have to go through you to get my house?
Normally, I would say, this is a board call, so it's not, I'm just saying, you know, but normally, yes, because you're changing the aesthetics of your house as it was built. And it varies from subdivision to subdivision.
And we
you know.
encourage people to join the board if you want to be a part of the decision-making.
Yeah, in some
We
HOAs,
encourage
the
you
architectural
to come and
review
help.
committee is a separate than the board. Usually there's one liaison from the board on the architectural review committee. And, you know, most architectural review committees are like 7 members throughout the community, so they get to vote on what happens. Most are very easygoing, but like I said, there are some people that will just do something that you're gonna say, oh my God, I can't believe they did that in my community, and they're getting away with it. Somebody's gotta enforce that part of it, and it's best to have the approval on the front end than trying to force it on the rear end.
Chip.
But that'd be a board thing, and notices will go out if that's gonna be the case, but I put that in there because I think y'all need to start looking at that process.
So basically, any changes that we wanna make to our home or our property, we have to go through the board to get it approved.
Well, it varies. Landscaping usually is no issue. You know, but
So if I got a neighbor that's got a tree right on the border, and 3/4 of his trees hanging over in my yard, stunting my trees, I can't do
So
anything about it.
we do have conditions on trees. A tree, you gotta tell us what tree you're gonna plant, because like you're just saying, most people go to Lowe's, Home Depot, they pick up a 6-foot tree. They don't think about 10 years from now, 20 years from now, it's gonna be half on your neighbor. So for most of my architectural review boards, if it's a tree, then it's limited on where you can put it. It has to be so many feet off your property line because of that spread at full growth.
Thank you for coming. Did you have a
This
question?
gentleman in the back has had his hand up quite a long time.
Yeah, sorry. You'll be next, I'm sorry.
Just down here, Mr. Restaurant said about the HOA when it started, Lang was the president, his wife was the vice president and treasurer. They disbanded, the Secretary of State disbanded that HOA at every city because Lang never did anything on it. It's like 2009, it went away. So there wasn't an HOA for a little while, he was correct. And everybody skips over that, but that's the part that needs to be said, because that's part of the history.
Yeah, but it didn't get picked up with the state, but we still had one in the restriction thing, and it got picked up along the way though.
But when was it actually finalized, like, with the?
When we changed it to the correct thing, it was about 3 years ago, that's why I'm not going back.
So while on the house, there was no HOA, I didn't.
No, it doesn't, no, the house, it doesn't remove you from the HOA, just because you buy the house.
He was mandated in 09, and he did it 12 years later, like, I bought a house in between where there's no HOA. I had no, I bought into a house that had no HOA. So I challenge you to put one in my house.
Now, the covenant's restrictions.
He's gonna open my deed.
The covenant's restrictions dictate that you're part of the HOA. The only thing you're talking about is the Secretary of State, and that's a separate type, I mean, it makes it, you know, legal or not legal, but you're still part of the HOA because of the covenant's restrictions.
Yeah.
You bought a lot in the subdivision.
Well, Joe Maloney, then, that's all he does is property law, so, it's my church, like, I'm
So the restrictions in the original covenant said that all the sidewalks had to be 3-foot sidewalk, or 4-foot sidewalks. All the sidewalks in the thing put in 3-foot, not 4.
Yeah.
So they started out doing it wrong.
And I get it. And I built mine was one of the last ones in there. I put a entranceway for handicap. Some people didn't do this, but I thought, no, somebody might need a ramp. And my corner of my lot right there, I had a corner lot. I paid extra, but I did that. All the county says you just have to have a sidewalk. You know, and it had to be the restriction thing. But again, I didn't say it wasn't pretty, it's messy. And that filing thing, we picked it up and filed it. It was with the subdivision, you had to have one. Just because of filing the state, we revitalized and got it paid the dues and got it filed with the state correctly to keep it the function it was supposed to be, an HOA.
I do, yes, because I'm about to announce, this is my last
When we changed the title, because they had given it over to somebody else to run and a different thing.
Well, it's not just that, I've got some things
That's
going
why we
on
had
in
to
my
take it back
personal
and get
life,
incorporated. We didn't know.
and
We're just like you.
honestly, I
We
might
don't know
have
these
the
things.
forces
We're not
on my
lawyers.
so.
We were trying to figure it
I
out and
would
make
love
it right.
to
You
show
know,
you what
that's
all
all.
I've been doing and get your info. I know you guys want to. I got you too. Thank you so much. we're friends on Facebook, so I just tried it.
Well, we try, we put it on the website, we do, yeah.
Just like this, I'm always gonna go to one, if I can do something.
Hey, Chastity, tell them the website, it's on outside right now, when you look at it, there's a website thing right there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell it.
I've been there 10 years, I've never seen anything
Yeah,
about.
all people write stuff in there, I know.
I have
Yeah,
no idea that.
we'll get with her, she'll get it for you. Let me get her.
What's the problem? I don't, nobody.
Can we just get it in the mail?
Now we can. I've got somebody that'll do it for me, big folks.
Hold up, wait a minute. Okay, this is getting out of control.
No,
My question is, with the approximately $13,000 of our budget's going to the management company,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So you're gonna send out letters, liens, et cetera. What else, are there any other services that you provide, or other than just mailing things out and handing?
I assist the board in whatever other issues that they come up with that.
And he's gonna be taking over the day-to-day bookkeeping as well.
Yeah, I do all the bookkeeping and everything. So the board, I mean, usually I get together every quarter with the board. I don't know if you guys meet every month. If they meet every month, I give them financials for that, but, yeah, usually I meet with the board every quarter.
and see, that's gonna improve. We could only do so much, we don't have so much time, we were doing it on our own if the problem got up, but we tried to plan a couple of months for one annual meeting, because that's all we had time for. Now we can meet every other month, something with him and say, hey, something's going on over here, can you send him a friendly letter? Hey, you're parking in the yard or whatever, parking wrong. We wanna get on top of that, but we couldn't do it before, we were just limited in our resources, we just weren't. And I'm overpaid, I'm sorry, go ahead, no.
I just wanna know, and I'm totally for helping support and all our expenses. I'm a little concerned, I wanna know what else he does besides paying dues, that seems a little high for him to do.
Man, he was the lowest. We had one that
Oh,
gave us,
unbelievable.
I mean,
I wanna
we had one
know what
firm
else
that's
is in there.
$27,000. I mean, it just went all up like, oh my God.
No, I understand, but I mean, he's in Murfreesboro. You
Yeah.
said we got.
Well, no, he comes he has other HOAs here in the
Yeah, I come up twice a month.
So who's gonna, like, just as an example, and I'm not complaining about the house number. There's a house on Wintercrest that has 7 or 8 vehicles there at all times. There's service vehicles, there's cars that don't run, there's junk. They're all there all the time. Okay, I don't know how many live in the house and I don't care. But is somebody gonna, like, you're gonna come through and see that and say, hey? I mean, I don't mind if you have company and you park all over the place. That's a separate thing. But this is all the time. I drive an SUV and it's not huge, it's an Acadia. I can't go down that road because there's parking on both sides. If my family needs an ambulance, they can't come that way. They're gonna have to come that way. Who's gonna look at those things? I mean, I feel like already we're the ones punished because some people didn't pay. I understand that's the way life goes, and I'll pay my dues, because I do want it to look nice. But I wanna know, that seems like a lot of money that could better our neighborhood if all you're gonna do is fees. And I don't know you, I'm not talking about you personally.
Well, I mean, from the car standpoint, I mean, definitely have to look at the covenants restrictions, but it's a public road.
Well, it states no overnight parking. It states clearly in the bylaw, no overnight parking.
It does, it
Yeah,
does. No overnight parking in the street.
Yeah.
Since '08, since I've been here.
Well, I've been there since 2000.
The biggest challenge with that is getting the county to help enforce that, and they refuse to do it.
Sheriffs and cops out there.
There's a lot, and they don't have to enforce it. I've already passed.
Yeah, I have
The only
to.
thing we can do, and we can talk about it, we can, and like I said, there's things that we can do through zoning, like we can make parking all on one side. I'm just saying, the zigzagging, and maybe we'd have to do it on the opposite side of the fire hydrant, because you want your emergency management to get there. I've done that with transportation, because I work in the school district, that we had to get the buses around. So we got them to put signs up and put it over to one side. Now, we got that for the cops of the county, but we had to go around through planning and zoning. If y'all agree upon that, then we could do is say, hey, we're gonna park everything on one side, and then we still have to address the multiple car parking, but we can send letters out now, because we have talked to code enforcement, when they're all running or whatever, the license, we checked on that, and they got like, what? You can't do anything about it, so we can try to do another letter, take some more stance to it, but I gotta have some help to police it, because that's, I'm like you guys.
Saying there's nothing happening now.
It seems that way, we want to try to get it there. Yes, sorry.
I would thank the board for what they've done.
They're awesome.
But I am thanking with that lady, I was trying to do 14,000 or plus for somebody else to come in.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Is this your address? Okay, thank you.
we're gonna get 100%. We gotta get 100% out of everybody. We're not gonna just do it on our own. We're
140 are gonna be, it's like throwing it away.
All right.
I
So
don't
the thing
understand
is,
that.
y'all, we gotta get through some growing pains, okay? We've gotta get this done so that we can do the next steps, okay? And this gentleman back here has had his hand up forever. I'd really
Right.
like to have him.
I wasn't finished.
I'm sorry.
It's almost, it's
Thank y'all.
14,000 plus
Thank y'all.
for this man.
I'm
Yes,
gonna put it on the
That's fine.
website,
Yeah.
social media, as well as the
It's
slideshow,
like,
and
I
it'll
don't know
take a few days.
But,
Yeah,
a
yeah, it'll be on the HOA page, and I'll also put it on our website. Thank you.
for him, that's 140 homes are paying for the man to make the food.
Because, man, we can't do it any longer. It's volunteer. You don't understand, I had to take money out of my own pocket to get stuff mailed out. We had to go to Jerry, we don't
We're
have
not
that.
gonna make that.
Yes, ma'am, we will. If everybody pays, we'll be able to do capital investment down the road. Think it through. I mean, we've thought this through really tough. And it's not light. And this is the most inexpensive company that we feel comfortable with to do this.
This man
You know.
actually paid for the
Yeah.
postcards you got one year. You know, people were complaining one year because we didn't send notices and bills, because we didn't have it in the budget. I mean, we had almost nothing to even be able to mail a letter to every homeowner. And he bought and paid for the printing and postage and everything out of his own pocket because people complained there was no invoices. So we couldn't keep doing that year after year after year with 20%, 30%, 40% paying. We just physically couldn't do it. And I understand what you're saying, 140 homes are paying for him. But then, otherwise, we had 20% pay. We had no choice.
We'll be upside down. We'll just be upside down. But go ahead,
Quick question. You were speaking earlier about the additions to homes, changes, stuff like that, to be sent into an application. Who exactly do we send it to?
The management.
It'd be me, and then I would forward it to the board for review. And I don't know if they've already got an architectural review application, but I have a standard on that.
Honestly, we haven't talked about a lot of that yet because,
We're trying to get the funds.
Right.
Because we're not here to just smack you in the head and say, no, you can't do, but we're growing and learning because we are. We've not been truly as an HOA for the last couple of years. We're just doing it and trying to improve on it. And that's all we ask is just we grow together. But go ahead.
okay, great.
Yeah, you have to get an attorney, because we're representing the entire board, we don't, you know what I'm saying, don't want to, I mean, you know what I'm saying, we gotta make sure. 'Cause again, I don't know, I hope and trust whatever you do will be aesthetically pleasing, but I don't know. You might build a three-story up there, we can't do a three-story, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying?
That's actually theirs. Do you have a pen?
I really, again, I wanna thank the board, I don't think people understand, we're all trying to figure this out, we have to get somebody to help get the money in. It's a done deal, so we can't keep arguing about it. I wanna talk to Mr. Ruth Williams, which I think is another big problem, about the fire department and the volunteer thing, and I think that's why he's here tonight. So, I mean, we've all had questions, I mean, I could ask about, like, I didn't know I had an HOA, I'm paying for it, I paid more every year, because I knew he was paying stuff out of his own pocket. We had to suck it up, unless you wanna take his job and go around and try to be responsible for the county and for everything else that's going on. It's a done deal, folks. We have to work together. I mean, I have a chain link fence. I think next year, we know it's all coming up. Let the board get their feet under the ground. Let's get some money and let's move on. Okay? But I'd like to talk to Mr. Williams about the fire department. There's some stuff I don't think you guys know that I found out that pissed me off.
But go ahead, and then I'm kind of wrapping it up, we're not trying to throw you on the fire, Rick, but.
That's okay.
But, yeah, go ahead,
I'd
Jim.
like to know about the road improvements. Because Wintercrest got replaced, what was it, a year ago?
Got stripped down and redone.
And we moved in there, and that road looked fine. We live on Angelica.
Yeah. Heard that.
That road, it is a mess, especially in front of our house.
Yeah.
They say because they flooded the asphalt. And it's just a mess. And
Trucks go down the road and they go down so fast that it just shakes all the front door.
Your biggest problem is this, I've noticed since going from up north, they make the roads too wide, too narrow. They go just by the minimum, you know what I mean, to not make cars park on two sides. You can't do that in Illinois.
No, you can't.
You know, but down here, that's how they are, so you just kinda got, this is what they do, you gotta live with it. And you're gonna have all the contracts, people park on the street, you know, I had people that, I had grass up here, I was ready to go cut it myself. I mean, all this stuff happens. The HOA is trying to develop, we got skunked, basically. Chip has been working, these guys all worked for 3 years, they're doing the best. The roads, we know about it, we talked about it, maybe Mr. Williams talked about that too, but there's other things, it's gonna take time.
Yeah, but doesn't our tax money, our property tax go towards?
That's a HOA question, talk to,
Yeah, Rick can address that.
You might
You would be all right.
I think you should be talking now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to shut it, I'm gonna let Rick talk, or if you have some questions. I think we're basically, I hope, concluded. Again, what they've been saying before, we're not here to say, I don't wanna be president forever. If you wanna roll on the board, some of you want, we have spots on there for the board. We wanna keep, like, rotate that, we want two experienced and two to roll off, and fresh people come in so they can learn. We want you to be a part of the community. And step up. No, I mean, I'm not, but a lot of good neighbors, y'all have really done a good job, and because I am your neighbor, and I appreciate it, and have nothing but love and affection. I do, I would have done it, but our neighborhood looks pretty, I think it looks as good as anybody's. We try to keep it nice and going, and there is some problems, but hopefully we'll get that worked out as we grow with the management company. And again, if Jamie's not paying out, somebody said,
Don't you start
you know,
on
we'll get another, but hopefully he'll be good, and we can really show some improvement. But I do want you to think about serving on the board, and then rotating and getting your fresh ideas and involvement and your care and concern, because you're good people. And we have to have that.
Don't say it might go down. Nothing goes down.
Well, that's why we got it up to 100.
Or 100, next time, it will go up.
We still are the cheapest
insurance-
around them, dear.
Yeah.
We are the cheapest around.
I know, it
We
does,
are the
like
cheapest
insurance.
around. What do you want? We have to do it.
Yeah, I got a couple quotes on
You
insurance.
can't say it's not gonna go up.
No.
It will.
Yes, yeah, but it ain't 150, so, quick.
Yeah, we gotta be
But we
ready.
don't look like it.
Huh?
Thank you all so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for coming.
That's priceless to me, because one day I'll turn around and I'm gonna wanna sell my property.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about that $13,000 that you're gonna use. I'm glad that that's happening, because somebody's gonna be looking at my house, and they might like my house, but if the surrounding area looks like a mess, then here I am, losing my money for the $100 that I didn't want to spend this year.
Good point, it is, it's good. But go ahead,
We really have a hard stop at 8 o'clock, so we need to
Yeah,
give the magic.
I wanna let Rick, yeah, 7:57, but maybe you have anything else?
I would just say one more thing is I manage Hunter's Crossing, and there's a homeowner in there who's actually suing other homeowners, which started before the developer turned it over to the community. So he's suing the other homeowners for not doing the covenants and restrictions. So now, after they turned it over, the HOA is now involved in that lawsuit for not enforcing those covenants and restrictions. So, you know, we don't want to get into that. I mean, that's just something that could be very scary and expensive.
And then
So-
ultimately, all of us pay for it.
So, I mean, you can sue a neighbor, if your neighbor's not doing it according to the covenants and restrictions, you can sue them. You have that ability, because that's in the covenants and restrictions. But that's the purpose of an HOA, so you don't have to take it on individually. The HOA acts on your behalf for issues of that. So, go ahead.
Got a question for Rick, go ahead, I'm sorry.
First of all, let me just say thanks for having me here tonight, and I commend each and every one of y'all for your passion surrounding your neighborhood. There's nothing more important than taking care of what's yours. Y'all are going through some growing pains, it sounds like, just like the county is. And things are not like they used to be. I know in a lot of cases, these developers that built these subdivisions, it's a money-making enterprise for them, okay? They are going to do everything to the least acceptable standard. So that may not be what you want now. That may not be what needs to be done now, but that's what you've got. So You can't just automatically snap your fingers and fix every one of these situations all at the same time. That's kind of what we're facing in the county right now too. We're growing so fast and there's such a demand on everything that's being done around the county. We have to look beyond today as to what's gonna happen in 2050. We're having a big meeting tonight, which is the result of a study that we commissioned to study our volunteer fire departments. And this is a very extensive study and proposals that they came back with about what we have now and what we need, not only now, but down the road. It's obvious to all of us that sit on fiscal court now that our volunteer fire department, as it stands right now, is not adequate to do the job 10, 15 years from now. We have to start now in preparing for that. The way they collect money and the way that they're funded at this point is people pay fire dues. $50, that's what you pay a year for fire protection. I mean, folks, think about that. You pay more to fill up your car with gas than to protect your home for a year. We have to find another way to do this. And guess what? They have the same problem that y'all were talking about people opting out and not paying. They have no way to collect that money. There's nothing forcing them to do that. We run into the same thing with county taxes. What do you think everybody pays their taxes? I'm sure each of y'all do, and there's no problem there, but you know, there's a reason that the sheriff is in charge of collecting taxes. There are people who are not going to pay, and you have to go through a collection process to get them. So we all have our challenges. The roads, the streets. One of the big things that I noticed, because I previously served on the city commission of Bowling Green, is we had a street paving program in the city, established for quite a while, and you know, it had its different adjustments over time. But you can't just automatically pave everything all at once. And what's happened in our county is that these neighborhoods like yours have been neglected for 20, 30 years. They haven't been touched because they were new. The county had always paved roads. That's all they knew to do. That's what they'd always done. We have to change that attitude, and I know I've had several conversations with the county judge about we need to make an extra effort to look at these neighborhoods and address the paving issues that are there because we're responsible for them now. So we are going to do that. We approved the first reading this morning of the budget allotment for the next fiscal year. And Judge Gorman has proposed that we add an extra $1 million to paving for what we're doing in the next fiscal year. That's not going to get them all paved, but it's going to give us a start. And we will start having a focus on looking at these individual neighborhoods. I know that y'all's hadn't been done in 20 years. You've got Hidden River right down the road. They haven't been done in 20 plus years. I've driven through the neighborhoods. I've taken pictures. I've talked to the public works director. He's aware of the different streets and things that I have seen him. So we're going to come up with a systematic way to regularly do this maintenance on these roads. But we can't do it all at once. And we just ask that you bear with us with that. We are aware of it, and we are going to start looking at the streets in the neighborhoods. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I understand how you are gonna be working the roads and you gotta get the money, everything costs money, and it's a time process, it's like our HOA. But my biggest concern, and I'm not sure if I talked to you one time, but I had a friend whose house burned down recently. It was a very wide open experience about the response and what happened and things like that. I didn't know, I came from where we always had a paid fire department. My brother was a fireman. You know, I never knew down here. I heard on TV how like, we are Woodburn, who's our fire department, they're having trouble getting people to get volunteers.
All of them.
So you know, if your house goes up, good luck, you might as well say goodbye and hope you can get out real quick. Now, I don't know about you folks, but I'm ready to pay somebody to be a fireman to save my house. The roads are bad, and they can't do anything about that and that's where people parking wrong or doing the wrong side, because you can't get trucks down, especially like a fire department truck. But I think we need, and I don't know what the survey results have, and I was told to keep my mouth shut, because I blew up and like in Jeremy was calling people.
I remember you calling.
Yeah. I told her I talked to him, and I said, I will go door to door, I will do whatever you want. But I think we need a paid fire department, and I don't know the results of the survey, I've been waiting to hear from it, and that's why I've been waiting to talk to you.
Well, I will tell you this, it will be, the entire study will be posted on the county's website tomorrow.
Oh, good.
So you can go on there and read it. It's only 190 pages long.
You know,
So don't print it.
you know, I had heard, and I have friends who like live in Bowling Green. Bowling Green, they say they pay, he said like, I'm told, and I don't know, I haven't verified this. But when I had this conversation, I was really pissed, and he knows, I talked to him on the phone, he calmed me down, but I was pissed. They paid like $300 a year. Bowling Green pays.
Yeah, it's different. The city funds the city funds their fire department mainly on an insurance premium tax.
Okay.
And that is one of the proposals.
Right.
From this consulting company, is to change the way that the volunteer fire departments are funded, the way they're established, the way they work with one another, the way they communicate. Please read the survey.
Oh, I will.
Yeah. Because it's very thorough.
I just have I'm so sorry, Jeff. I do have a question. Like, I don't know if the county's talked about it or not. I was just curious, but we're pretty much on the cusp of being a true metropolitan area, and I was kind of interested in, like, if that has been discussed between city and county or not. Or do you know anything about, like, their plans to merge or do anything, like merging the city and county? Because
there are not any current plans to merge city and county government. That was a contentious issue in the past and was brought up and actually voted down. I'm not saying it won't come back up.
Right. Eventually,
because,
it will honestly probably have to happen. But
changes may occur that kind of force the issue.
Yeah.
The reason that a lot of people point to metropolitan government and think that it works better than the separate ones is a consolidation of services.
Yeah.
And you save money. You don't.
You don't save money, but there is the consolidation of services, which would address the fire departments, but it would also knock us out of possibly being a USDA rural area as well, which I know I bought my first home, the home I live in now, on a USDA loan. So, there's positive and negative aspects.
There are pros and cons, absolutely. Yeah. But seriously, the fire thing is a huge deal, and there are so many proposals that they're making in that survey. I think you'll like it, but it's not saying that we can do everything that's in there.
Thank you, ma'am.
But we can certainly do some of them.
Have a good day.
And some of them make really good sense. For example, you have 9 different county fire departments now. So each of them has their own little silo.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we've sort of gotten beyond the HOA business.
No.
Do you mind to have like a separate conversation perhaps?
Sure.
Maybe
Read that thing tomorrow and then
Go offline.
And I apologize, the Parks and Rec, we're supposed to be out by 8 o'clock, so we're a little over that, so it's on us. But
I'll be happy to answer any questions for you.
Thank you for coming. No, appreciate it. Thank you all again. And if you have some questions, send it by email or to our website that we have.
Okay, officially adjourned.